is up, YouTube? So today we're gonna talk about a few things, but it's gonna be spanned across a couple days. A lot to talk about. First off, we have this is a suppressor wrap that failed. As you can see, this Amazon suppressor cover. It's cooked. Amazon special. I just had to try it. I wanted to see how well it works, and it held up for 60 rounds. And then as you let it cool off, it bubbled up in some spots. But then after that, I put it on 300 blackout. No deal. So this can, let's see if I can get it. See if I can get it off. I might have to cut it off. Let's see if I can get it off. Got some trauma shears here. Let's see what happens. It's literally like fused to the can, like completely fused. So see if I can cut away at it. So I bought this off Amazon. One of my buddies had bought one. He wanted to see how well they work, so I bought one. I told him I'd give him an update, and yeah, this is no go. So, word of advice: just because they sell on Amazon doesn't mean it's always good and always works. I took the risk with my only can, my favorite can. It's experiment. I mean, it doesn't hurt the can. It's just messing with the aesthetics, which, you know, when you're taking photos and stuff, yeah, I'm gonna have to try to clean it up as best I can. But it did work for what it was designed to do, to a certain extent. I was able to take it off while it was still kind of warm, but go out there. There's a couple good companies out there. I gotta find one and buy a good suppressor wrap. If you're gonna be shooting suppressed, I highly recommend you getting a wrap, because unless you're gonna be walking around with a mitt in your bag all the time, when you need to break it down, you're gonna need a can, a suppressor wrap. Wow. This thing is on there. I was able to get the suppressor wrap off. So this is what it looks like now with it off. There's still little pieces, you know, melted plastic or whatever material they use to make their wraps. But this is yeah, this is what's left of it. It's made, like, look at it. It's literally got the lines from the can molded into the plastic pieces. Aesthetically, it's freaking awesome. It's beautiful. I'll post pictures of it later. But function-wise, limited capacity. If you're running 5-10 rounds at a time, okay, it'll work. If you're running it 30 to 60 rounds at a time, nope, not at all. But I love this can. This Diligent Defense Enticer, best bang for the buck. I got mine on sale. I got lucky. I was in the market for cans for a while, and I just could not decide on which one. You know, I have buddies who shoot, you know, Surefire and Griffin and other cans. And I went to a shop and I asked them what's like a good decent can, and it was like, it just depends on what you want. There's so many cans out there and there's so many companies. It just depends on what you want. So he's like, what do you want to do with it? I said, well, I have a 308. I want to build a 300 blackout. Then I have a 5.56, and yeah, those are ones. He's like, okay, well, since you have 308 and a 300 blackout that you're building, you want a 30 cal can. The best advantage with a 30 cal can is you can run anything under a 30 cal on this can. Runs it, no problem. He said the best advantage of some cans, you can change the end cap and you can actually suppress whatever rounds that you're running. So I was like, so 5.56. He's like, yep. So I was like, okay. So I bought the can. Fortunately, they didn't have any end caps there. So I went on Diligent Defense's website and, you know, easy navigate, go up there, click what can you have, what kind of end caps you're looking for, select it. I think this end cap was like $65 or something like that. Ordered it, they shipped, got here. Best thing since shoestrings. The benefit with this is my setup. I didn't get the wrench for it, which I need to get back on their website and order, but they were all out of stock at the time. But it's interchangeable. You can swap it out. Like, you get a Torx bit, which they have a tool, but I you know, being a mechanic, I have tools, so I looked on their site. It's 60. That's a T60 Torx bit, and so I grabbed one from my toolbox. There's the 5.56 one that I ordered. I like it. That they did it in heat treat. It's freaking tight. So they're labeled. So it's not idiot proof, but if you're paying attention and you know what you're doing, you'll be just fine. Like on this one, it has, see if you can see it, 5.56 engraved on there. And then this one has 7.62. Let me get it zoomed in there. 7.62 engraved on there. So you really can't mess up. You can, but I tell anybody that's like, don't be in a rush to switch stuff out. Like, pay attention to what you're doing for what ammunition you're running, what can you're running. Make sure stuff is tight. Make sure you have like all your bells and whistles for is your tools and supplies to operate your firearm safely, properly, and run your suppressors. Like, most suppressors come with direct thread. Mine came with a direct thread, but I went to reared end because I'm running a reared end adapters or reared end muzzle devices. And I got a reared end adapter, and I got the Plan B adapter. That's what that one is. That's the Atlas Plan B, and then I have the Atlas, the Plan B Atlas XL too. So the XL gives you an inch of clearance for whatever weapon that you're running. Sometimes, depending on how you set your barrel up with your devices, you need clearances. The blast chamber. So most blast chambers are, I think they're like 2 inches, 3 inches. So some of Reardon's devices, like mine, doesn't always clear the blast chamber. You need clearance in the blast chamber. If you don't have clearance in the blast chamber, you will blow your can to pieces. I've seen it happen. There's plenty of videos up there of people just not tightening stuff on, not having proper clearances, not checking stuff, and running a can, and it just goes flying down range. So I ended up getting a adapter. And this particular can that I have, it didn't clear how tight I run my muzzle device. So I run my muzzle device like super tight. I just like the cleanness of the look. Some people, you know, they have like a 1/2 inch clearance, 2 inch clearance, 3 inch clearance, depending on what barrel and rail length that you're running. So my particular setup is a 10.5 inch barrel with a 10.5 inch rail. If you can look, you can see how close those two are. So you see the barrel, you see there's little like 1/2 inch or 1/4 of an inch worth of gap right there. That's not enough. So my setup, I just had to make sure when I was doing my initial like gauging of how I was gonna set it up, I was gonna leave like a little gap, but I just didn't like the way that looked. And since this is my truck gun, I need it clean, I need it compact, I need it to run, easy accessible, all that. So what I ended up doing was I ordered 2 Reardon Atlas adapters, the standard and then the XL. So at any given time, if I get another can, which I plan on getting another can, I'm gonna probably get another Diligent Defense and have it dedicated because I just love their cans, the sound, the everything. So I have the option right now of switching in between the 2 cans that I have now. Real simple, real easy. Can't show you because of YouTube's compliances, but just that fast, we're together. And see how like snug, tight that is. Like that's butted, damn near butted up against it. There's a little bit of a gap, there's a little bit of clearance. I wanted to run this rail so freaking bad that I said, I'm gonna figure it out. And the benefit about what my setup is, especially running Reardon, I can switch at any given time my cans. Reardon has one of the most like perfect setups, and they copied, I don't want to say they copied, they went off of the same setup that Q did with their Plan B, and it's a taper, so you really can't see it, but this shaft right here is tapered. So what that taper does is it allows the device to lock in, and it keeps the gases off of your threads. Other companies have issues with binding up of when your can runs. When you run your gun, and it gets hot, it expands, and then all that gas it needs somewhere to go, and it usually blows back on your threads. So what Reardon did was, and Q started it, they designed a 25-degree taper, and that 25-degree taper snugs up between the device and the adapter to keep those gases out of the threads. It like literally directs it. It'll, like, you see mine is all suited up. That's perfectly normal. That's perfectly fine. But you can still see the threads. The threads are shiny. They're clean. There's no gas, no buildup, no carbon buildup on the threads. So you don't have to worry about not being able to get your suppressor off and cleaning it and all that other kind of stuff. And yes, I run mine, so it's dirty. Can you clean it off? I believe you can. But I have the high temp heat treated DBP or DBP. I'll figure it out. But I loved it for the design. It's got 2 chambers on it, and then the crown, which is like freaking awesome. And so yeah, so with that, it allows you to run their Plan B adapter and run your can. It's like, it's the most beautiful, cleanest setup ever. It's convenient, and it also alignment. I haven't had any alignment issues with running the Plan B with the suppressors. Other people and other companies have alignment issues, and that's a big thing. Like, you don't want alignment issues, because when you get alignment issues, you get baffle strikes, you get end cap strikes, and then it just could explode your can. Like, it happens. It's real life. So the best part is, like, see, XL. You spin it on. You can change out, take on and take off in less than 10 seconds. I mean, and that's the clearance difference. So that's the XL with the same setup clearance difference. That's clearance. That's nice clearance. Or I could run the Super Snug. I love it. Literally, you just, like, when you put them on, You give it a little snug, you torque it down just a little bit. You don't need much, but that brings me to my next point of where you need to run anti-seize. So the best places to run anti-seize is if you have like me, a diligent defense. I could change out my caps. You could run a little anti-seize on the threads on the caps, keep them from binding up. Diligent defense always automatically ships it out. You see a little gold copper color? That's the anti-seize on there already that they run. I didn't run any on this one, but I need to. I will in the future. And then you can run anti-seize on the inside of your threads on the bottom and on your device, on your threads. That just keeps from binding up, because you got to remember, when you're running a can, you're running a suppressor, it's getting hot. And any metal that touches, it binds, it starts fusing itself together. And you don't want that. So what the anti-seize does, it keeps it from binding and allows it to be able to loosen up when you need to. They tell you, put it on, tighten it down, and you give it a little, just a hand turn. You don't need to put a tool to it or a wrench and ratchet it all the way down. Unless you're running direct thread, that's when you need to do that. But other than that, if you're running adapters, you don't need to like ratchet it down super hard. But yes, so that's that. So let's hit some bullet points. Don't buy cheap suppressor wraps. Lesson learned. But I was testing it. Run Loctite on your device and your adapters to your suppressor, and then run anti-seize on your device threads and your end caps. If you're going to change out your end caps, otherwise you can run anti-seize or Loctite on that too. Most of them you don't need to, because if it's cleanable, serviceable, this one's semi-serviceable, you can say. Like I can get in there and clean all that soot out stuff out. You know, you can put it in. They got a bunch of different companies have solutions now where you put it in a container, you drop it in there, you let it sit for whatever amount of time. They have metal-based solutions. So like if you have a titanium can or a stainless steel can, there are certain solutions you can and can't run. But they work. Or you can just use the old CLP, clean it out a little bit, let it sit and soak, and that's that.